All right, so you'll start to see the starting soon, and I'm gonna post that link. All right. Hello and welcome to another episode of SpellCast. I'm your host OSK. I have with me Mr. BastionLMAO over here. And for those of you that are new to the stream, this is SpellCast, of course. We do this once every week. I'll have a new guest on. We typically go around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll just talk about Spellbreak for an hour. So, Bastion, tell me a little bit about yourself. Why should we listen to you today? How long you've been playing the game, and what got you into it?
Oh God, so many questions. Hello. Well, hey, OSK, thanks for having me on, man. Yeah, I'm Bastion LMAO. I am a Twitch streamer, YouTuber, content creator for Spellbreak. I started playing the game on March 15th. I remember that day specifically for some reason. But March 15th, I got destroyed by Kamsky the first day, but somehow persevered through that and was like wondering why this guy's in my lobbies, but still, really liked the game though, kept playing it. And I've basically played every day that I can since through that. So March 15th was like 2 weeks into closed beta 2. And then kept playing through until downtime, picked the game back up on September 3rd. And I think I've only, the longest period I've gone not playing is like 5 days around Christmas. I think I took a couple days off. But yeah,
Really?
that's been the story. Did I miss anything?
Christmas of this year, huh? 5 days? That's it?
Oh yeah, I guess last year. But yeah. I guess the 5 days around Christmas is like the longest I've taken off. Yeah.
Wow, man, that's impressive. I know in your stream title that you have play Spellbreak every day. Like that's something that that's something that I can't even do. I mean, I'm too sporadic in my mind. I have to play different things on different days. But yeah, it's pretty impressive. So you've seen a lot of the game, obviously. You have played it quite a lot, obviously, and imagine you have quite a bit of knowledge there in that noggin. So first and foremost, I do want to congratulate you on your 1,000 follower milestone here on Twitch. I know it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but yeah, I'd like to get into that. What got you into streaming Spellbreak, and how's the viewership been?
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. 1,000 followers in a year, basically. So that was, it was a grind, but the Spellbreak community kind of welcomed me from day one. A lot of people will know Banshee Aaron, one of Marcus's moderators. She was in my chat like the first day, encouraging me, telling me about things and getting me involved in the community from day one. But yeah, I started streaming on January 2nd of 2020. It had been something that I had been looking to get into. I've been watching Twitch for a little bit. I started streaming Fortnite in January of 2020, which, if you know anything, about Fortnite, you know that that was a very dumb idea because that game was super saturated at that point. So I was
Yeah, it
going
sure was.
nowhere. Yeah, I was going nowhere with that. But then I started streaming Fortnite, was doing that. Got in. I heard about Spellbreak from some for I think probably Cypher PK back in like alpha when he was sort a little a little bit interested in it.
Hmm.
I had heard about it. I thought it was really cool, but I was a console gamer at the time, so I couldn't get into it. But then I started to stream. I had a PC. I had forgotten about the game, but then something I don't know how, but like I saw maybe just like an ad or someone on Fortnite was talking about it or whatever. I was reminded of the game and I was like, oh damn, that game. Let me give it a try. Like, I'm not doing anything else with my streams. Like, who cares? So I
Yeah.
gave it a try and yeah. And basically, I mean, it was I really liked the game, but also I just felt so accepted by the community like immediately. Like I said, Aaron was in my chat like the first day. I remember Dirty Tiger was a stream that I hopped into early on and he really accepted
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
and I was playing Stone Shaper, so it was how he's a Stone Shaper too, so he really gave me some pointers and some tips, and yeah, I mean, it was just like kind of easy to stick with from there. I mean, the community really wrapped its arms around me, so it was easy to stick with. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I know Banshee Aaron is like a mod for like 4 different channels, so
Yep.
I'm glad she had time to make her way out to you too in the beginning days. So it's always nice to hear. Aaron has
Mhm.
always been like a really positive voice in the community, and like
Yes.
I don't think you really see her that much on Discord, but I know you see her a lot on Twitch and Twitter. So it's always
Mhm.
nice to have someone there to be that welcoming person. And we
Yeah.
probably should be thanking her a lot more than I am right now. But
True.
yeah,
Well,
she
yeah,
does a
she
great
told me
job.
later. She told me later that she came into my chat because she was looking for friends for Marcus, and that worked out. So
Yeah.
she did well there. Because now Marcus and I played today. We play all the time. So yeah, that one worked out.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all were playing it. I saw y'all earlier streaming on. It's good to see that we're spreading the love here in the Spellbreak community. Very, very nice.
Mhm.
Um, well, you say you're coming from Fortnite. I mean, does that
Oh
mean you
God.
have a really, really big FPS background, or like what do you usually play in your off
Uh-uh.
time?
Yeah, no. I kind of don't. I mean, I got into Fortnite. I played like, Call of Duty back in like high school on my Xbox,
Yeah.
like me and all my friends, But I played that and then I always played FIFA with my friends too. So I did that. And then kind of like in college, I kind of fell away from video games a little bit. I'd play like
Hmm.
FIFA casually and stuff like that. And I always
Yeah.
played games like some really like foundational games for me were like Fire Emblem, which kind of
Yeah.
like completely different than
Mm.
what I do on stream.
Yeah.
But I played
Yeah.
those games. And then yeah, when Fortnite came out, a bunch of my friends who used to play Call of Duty and stuff together, they're like, dude, this like reminds me of uh, or like it was just like the craze of Fortnite was like kind of how it brought back memories of Call of Duty. So we got into that, and that kind of like got me back into video games. And then from there, I kept going. So kind of yeah, I don't have like a huge history with video games other than yeah, Call of Duty back in the day, FIFA back in the day, um,
Yeah.
and
Well,
yeah, here we are. And I've never played Overwatch.
oh,
Even
never
though
played
my name,
Overwatch.
I've never played Overwatch, even though my name, everyone thinks I have because of my name. But yeah, that's
Yeah, that's
my name's for
right.
different reasons. But
Yeah,
yeah,
we do have Bastion and Overwatch. I remember I had a little laptop and with a trackball mouse. That was what I took to college, and I think the first thing that I played on that game was literally the beta of Overwatch on this tiny little Lenovo IdeaPad. The screen's like maybe that big, and I'm just rocking with the trackball. I'm like, let me play Tracer. That'll be a good idea. I had no idea what I was doing, but yeah, Overwatch was definitely a it was an experience whenever it first came out. It was definitely a phenomenon. But hey, here you are.
yeah.
No Overwatch experience, but you do have quite a bit of Spellbreak. So, and you're one of the newer players, I think. March would have been what? Alpha, beta, one of those.
Closed beta 2. It was like 2 weeks into closed beta 2. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't remember seeing you for very, very long. So I've been around since the pre-alpha. So a lot of names have come and gone, but I'm glad you're one of the ones that stuck around after beta. And yeah, I'm wondering what happened to Dirty Tiger because I mean he was around quite a bit in closed beta too. I mean, he was streaming constantly. I don't know if he still does. I don't really go on Twitch that much.
Yeah, he hasn't been streaming. Still pretty active on Twitter. I think
Mm-hmm.
he is a business owner in the middle of
Okay.
coronavirus, and so it's
Yeah.
taking up. That's from what I've heard. That's taking up some of his time. So I think he'll be back. I think he plans to come back. But yeah, I think
Good.
he's a business owner during coronavirus, so his efforts are there.
Yeah, well, best of luck to him with that. I know that's brutal right now. My
Yeah.
parents are in a similar situation, and yeah, that they've actually been on the better end, but yeah, I know a lot of people have been on the lower end. So hopefully
Mhm.
we'll be able to bring them back up in this next year.
Yeah.
Um,
Fingers crossed for I
yeah,
think we have what, 4 vaccines in the pipeline, so hopefully.
there's a lot.
Hopefully by this time next year, it'll be
Yeah,
there. Return
hopefully.
to normalcy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's get into first a little business to spell break here. We have this chapter
Yep.
1 that came in, the big beautiful patch, and a
Mm.
lot of things changed. A lot of map. Well, we had one particular map change, a few others, and then we had the story system going on. Give me your take on all this. Like, do you see it as a net good change, or do you have different opinions?
Oh, it's a great change. It's awesome. Yeah, it's what I think. I mean, my only negative is that they just didn't do this at launch. But obviously, for a bunch
Mm,
of different reasons, I mean, they're it's a dev team. It's a small dev team trying to launch a
yeah,
game during coronavirus. Like, I'm not going to keep bringing up coronavirus. We can escape that for now. But
yeah.
it
It's a
is a
given at
small
this
team.
point.
Yeah, but so yeah, I think the map changes, Bogmore, Dead Moss, as it were.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wish the whole map looked like that. Or had similar thematic ties. I mean, Dead
Yeah.
Moss
Yeah.
is awesome now. The battle
Yeah.
pass is super cool. Obviously, I play this game every day, so I've already finished it. But I think it's probably a good pace for most people. People who aren't
Mhm.
psychos like me playing the game. Um, the cosmetics are really good. I mean, the outfit team is knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. I actually have a little page I'm going to bring up to show you viewers up here. This is a new post on the Spellbreak Twitter that they just released. And yeah, you can see they're saying, is there a shortage of fat Spellbreak cosmetics? As if. And then here's all your chapter 1 cosmetics. They do a really good job with this kind of thing. I agree.
Yeah, they do. And we get like at least a new one every week too in the store. Yeah.
Yeah.
One place they're definitely hitting out of the park. I think some of the quests are I think in the first part of the chapter, I thought the quests were a little bland, but now that the
Mm,
story is kind of picking up I mean, I don't know how close people are actually paying attention to like the story and what that means in the lore, but like especially
yeah.
with this past week with Quincy Poiswax and his
Hello there.
discoveries. um yeah, I think the lore is actually like kicking in, picking up, and the story is kind of like going somewhere now.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you been in those lobbies where everyone's just dropping Banehelm all at once?
Oh my
I
god.
think
Wait, yeah.
the first time I ever went to Banehelm, this was like day 1 of the patch that I got off of work, and I went in and literally the entire lobby just all dropping a Banehelm when there's a portal available. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, dude, it was wild. It was the same way with when we had all the Bogmore camps too. I remember
Hmm.
Marks and I were playing duos when that came out, and literally just half the lobby. I mean, you drop there, and then you spend the next 15 minutes looking for the last team because the entire lobby dropped there. Yeah, the Banehelm ones are crazy too because there just don't seem to be that many portals
Hmm.
around there. Which is actually, I mean, it kind of makes sense if you look at the map. And
Yeah.
you look at like it's like there's a 3x3 grid in the map, right? Banehelm
Yeah.
is like way up in the corner, and if you look to the other parts of the map, like
Yeah.
Deadmoss is only goes like halfway down that section of the map, and if you see that Halcyon's in the middle, Banehelm is like very far out there compared to other parts of the map.
Yeah, yeah. I think one of the things though that a lot of people were talking about was how much like for events like that where we need a specific area of the map, like maybe we could get one little extra portal up there so we can finish it,
Just stick
so
one.
we can
Yeah.
finish it quickly. I know
Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of those type of posts, so I want to get your take on that. Like, do you prefer the kind of sporadic system we have now, or do you want to see more of like a spread out kind of grid formation where we can drop anywhere we want? What do you think?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of of two minds in the portals. Like, I like the portals
Mm-hmm.
feel very magic, right? They feel very thematic, but
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, it would be nice. I mean, I liked. It's kind of it's weird because the whole drop system is different. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you could do something like the Fortnite bus, I think that would be better just because it allows people to go further. But of course, in Fortnite, you have gliders, and we don't have gliders in Spellbreak, so
Yeah, yeah.
you're really, locked to the portal that you go through. I don't know. I mean, that's definitely not the place where I would be insisting on changes, in Spellbreak. But it definitely has
Yeah.
been a little frustrating this week, getting to the Banehelm portals.
Yeah, I think one of the bigger changes here that we saw in chapter one was like the reduction of horizontal speed when you're falling. Like I think it
Hmm.
was 33% if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Where like you just can't go as far. There's a few portals that spawn south of Lux Vault that I think if we did have that
Mm.
33%, you get just on the edge of
Oh yeah.
Banehelm. So
Hmm.
like I kind of see where they're going. Like they want you to be committed to the portal that you have, but at the same time, like I like horizontal movement, so
Yeah, I didn't
that's
really get
kind of
that
where I'm
changed.
at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get that
I
change at all. It seems yeah. What is it? I mean, what does it matter if you're dropping out of a portal here or there or moving around? I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, exactly. I think they probably could have done without, but hey, what do I know?
Yeah.
Maybe they got a lot of complaints from newer players about people just dropping that they never saw coming, which
Hmm.
is valid. I do that
Yeah.
sometimes, but
Honestly, it is hard to
yeah.
see people dropping out of the sky. I get dropped on a lot from like seemingly nowhere, and I'm always looking
Mhm.
around too. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that is difficult. But yeah, I'm also, I mean, kind of just taking that point, um, and applying it generally to Spellbreak. If that is true, that new players were annoyed that people are dropping on them out of nowhere. I'm kind of down
Mhm.
for like at this stage in the game, kind of catering to new players, for a lot of that stuff. I think we've
Mhm.
seen shifts, to some of the stuff, the in-game mechanics as well. Stone sticks out in my mind as
Yeah.
somewhere where the dev team are kind of like catering towards new players a little bit, and I'm super okay with that.
Yeah, and speaking of that, we got to talk about the new matchmaking system that came in chapter one,
Ooh.
kind of midway through chapter one. There's been a few iterations.
Mhm.
Currently, I'm actually a pretty big fan of it. I'm getting quite a bit of full lobbies, but I also hear in the rumor mill that NA West doesn't exist. So, um, give me
Yeah.
sort of your take on this new matchmaking system. Like I for one like really like how they're prioritizing full lobbies and getting everyone with a somewhat okay ping in. But I know a lot of players are suffering because of that on the western side. So what do you think in this sort of aspect?
Yeah, I mean, the ping thing is unfortunate because the game does feel significantly worse. I'm East Coast boy, uh,
Mm-hmm.
so it doesn't affect me that much. I get basically zero ping in every game I play.
Yeah,
Um,
same.
but yeah, when I have played like in tournaments, in comp and tournaments and stuff, when I play on EU, it definitely does change your play style. If you're under, I don't know, 70 ping, then the game's still basically the same. But once you get over like 70 ping, you get up to like 150 ping,
Mm-hmm.
then you really like you should probably put down your frost gauntlet. And then over that, I think the game's, you're pretty far behind the rest of the game.
Yeah.
As for the matchmaking, yeah, I'm having a real good time with it. Of course, I'm a sweaty boy. I think I reached mage rank
You're part
58
of the
today.
problem.
Yeah, right.
58. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
almost
mage
half
rank
that.
58 today. So I mean, I love the bigger lobbies. I do, there's a
Mm-hmm.
big difference between someone who's level 1 or level 10 and someone who's level 23, is it, or
Mm-hmm.
24 or whatever, whenever they get into
Yeah.
our lobbies. There's a big difference there. But yeah, I mean, I feel for new players who are crossing the threshold into level 24, because I mean, yeah, it's tough, but I don't know. At
Yeah.
the same time, like I mentioned before, the first day I played Spellbreak, I was fighting Kamsky, and it wasn't fun, but I don't know. I did it.
Yeah, it got better a lot faster, I would imagine,
Yeah.
than shooting stationary targets back in the day. Because now we have bots who actually can aim, and
Oh my god.
it's
Missed.
like, ugh, that like the most dangerous thing that we'd all joke about is a bot with stone, and it's like you don't know when he's gonna fire or anything like that, and if you just tread not so carefully, you're gonna get chunked for 45, and then here comes a third party, and now they can actually hit, so it's like. Oh, it's brutal sometimes. But
Yeah.
I just brought up on the screen for viewers to see. We have a Reddit post here by P Huddy. Yeah, I think he agrees with you that the level 23 matchmaking point is brutal because you're opening the floodgates to everybody. Like whether you're level 30, whether you're level 40, whether you're level 70. I don't know if anyone's that high, but maybe. You're just all thrown in together, and all these players that are used to bots and newer players are just getting thrown into the fire. So I don't really know how you fix that right now. I'm not a game dev or anything like that, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. How we can, if there's any ideas from you, how we can sort of solve that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem to me like you can solve it without a bigger player base, and you need players to stick around to get a bigger player base. So it's a little bit of like a catch-22. But yeah, I mean, ideally, I think you'd just have more separations, right? You would have a level 1 to 10, a level 10 to 30 or whatever, a level 30 to 50, and or maybe at some point you've played enough where you can be thrown in with the big boys. I bet like level 40 is, or maybe a 35 is, if you're level 35, you can play with anybody at that point. You've put in enough time. But yeah, I mean, it's tough because there just isn't, the player base is growing though. I mean, you can tell, and especially like from when Chapter 1 launched and Steam launched as well, which I think is huge in this. When Steam launched, the player base, at the end of prologue 1, or at the end of the prologue, the player base was not very big at all. And then slowly over Chapter 1, I've just kind of been like looking around in the HoloLens, and you go, oh, there's actually like, there's some people here today. And then you play a little bit more, and it's like, whoa, I'm actually getting like almost a full lobby. You're like, damn, now it is a full lobby. So that's good. It's been growing.
Yeah, I think that new matchmaking system kind of helped out with that, with the new ping system. Oh wow, it's actually wait, this United Kingdom. I'm pulling up Google Trends to see where Spellbreak is, and it's like United Kingdom. It's huge, but no. So here's a graph, everyone watching. This is just people who search Spellbreak in Google. It's not really player count or anything like that, but here's interest. So this is obviously when Spellbreak released. It was 100% of the popularity that it ever had, and then few weeks it dropped. We actually got right before Chapter 1. It was at 2% of its search volume, which is lower than what it was in July leading up to closed beta 2, which is kind of brutal.
When it was in downtime. Yikes.
Yeah. So it actually jumped up after the recent ad campaign. They had all those YouTubers doing sponsored videos. It's currently for this past week at 14%. So we're kind of we're slowly climbing. We had a little dip right here, and like right after Christmas, which is normal, like everyone's home and with family, but we're getting up there. So there's a light at the end of the tunnel a little bit.
Yeah, the slow increase, the slow burn, which I kind of think it's, I mean, from the devs' actions, seems like basically what they want. They want slow growth.
Yeah, I'm actually going to compare it to Among Us here. Obviously, they had a big explosion that makes this look tiny, but like we can see Spellbreak like coming up to it. I mean, it's relatively the same. They're about 1%, and then all it takes is like just a few people to play it who are maybe a little bit more prominent, and then you can get up there. I mean, Among Us has been that's been a phenomenon on Twitch. I know it has. Like everyone knows. But yeah, that game was literally non-existent for like 2 years, and then suddenly came up out of nowhere. think Spellbreak is kind of in a better place given that it just released not too long ago. But it might
Yeah.
be on that same track. It's kind of what I'm getting at.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think yeah, for Among Us, it's just people, some content creators started going with it. And I think
Mhm.
for a lot of the like bigger content creators who have tried out Spellbreak, I think there just isn't really a game mode that they want to see. I think a lot of content creators are kind of over BR, and and
I've been
also,
seeing a
I
lot
mean,
of that.
BRs, yeah, BRs are also just super sweaty. Like inherently, BRs get sweaty because you have so many
Yeah.
people in a lobby, and the like point is that it's people of all skill ranges. It's like all, everyone's thrown in the lobby together, and that makes it
Hmm.
so that, yeah, like, I mean, does Shroud really want to grind a new game that he likes, but isn't like totally in love with? Does he want to grind it for a month just to start to get as good as people?
Hmm.
Although Shroud got pretty good over the week that he played.
Yeah.
At
He
the end
also
of it,
plays Lightning.
yeah, I mean, he's freaking dude. Oh my god, that
Yeah.
was nuts.
I
But yeah, I
remember
think
going,
for a lot of
yeah.
content creators, that's the situation, and how you solve that
Mhm.
probably is with a new game mode, which
Yeah.
is a whole discussion in and of itself.
Yeah, and I actually want to get into this little Reddit post here that we're talking about. It actually talks pretty much exactly what we were just saying, but it's by someone else, so it reinforces my ego. So we're gonna pull that up. Basically, it says, "Dear Proletariat, hope this message would come across. As a loyal fan of your game, please hear us out. Us being the player base. Prioritize on launching a new game mode/modes, something that would highlight Spellbreak's greatest asset, which is the combat." Oh, this guy actually. I think his head's screwed on right. Okay.
Whoa.
I haven't read this before. I just
A
pulled it up.
Redditor? Who knows?
Oh, BR just won't work well with it. I want to know how long this guy's been following. Let's see. He is, well, I'm not gonna witch hunt him. But anyway, a mode with a small scale map, arena/objective based mode, 3v3 or 5v5 would work wonders for the game. Address the problems of queue times. Okay, he's watched my videos. This is good. Also encourage new players to play the game, even if they died, quote unquote. There's an action to look forward to again instead of starting, waiting. Dude, this guy is like literally my brain. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Spellbreak needs a different game mode to pop off. I think yeah, I mean, I haven't really played that many like arena shooters or anything like that. So
Mm,
I mean, it makes sense in my head that, an arena style mode would work, 3v3,
mm-hmm.
toss people in there. And go for it. I think there are a bunch of different game modes that could work though. I was just talking about this
Yeah.
actually recently, and I think I have played Valorant in downtime.
Mm-hmm.
That's another game that I've played. Damn, there you go.
Yeah. That one's
Valorant.
it's another sweaty game.
Yes, yeah, it is. But I
Yeah.
played that a little bit, and I was thinking of how you could do Spellbreak in a mode like similar to that, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's difficult. In Spellbreak, because in Valorant you're capped by your ammo, but if you did Spellbreak like a Valorant style map and you just did Spellbreak in it, then you would just have your toxicologist like shut down one of the alleys, just garden and DF it, right? So there's a lot of
Potentially.
like pitfalls to that. But I was thinking about what if it was kind of more open, and I was thinking about what's like a place on the map that would, on the map that we have, that would be a good like example of this. And I was thinking about
Mm-hmm.
Dust Pool, and Dust Pool is actually set up, it's it has like the center dome at the
Mm-hmm.
top of it, and then it kind of fans out. It's like this 150-degree like fan shape,
Yeah.
cone shape. And it would be cool to have a style map where like in the middle of the dome you had brill stones or something, or maybe a vital stone, something. Those are both lore things.
Yeah.
Brill stones are like magically conductive minerals, basically. They power the gauntlets.
Yeah.
You could have like attackers trying to go get brillstones and defenders trying to defend him, but the attackers would start just like on the wall of Dust Pool, and then they would have a bunch of space, vertical space and space to kind of like move into the city a little bit and then make an attack. And I think having a much more open area like that would actually be really cool for an objective based mode. Giving defenders high ground to start, and that, I mean, yeah, some sort of of game mode like that would, I mean, I think that would be super fun. And especially getting the numbers
Yeah.
down, that helps with the player base, and it helps with people being outmatched by the opposing team in a way that you can't really account for in BR.
Yeah, that's true. And I think one of the bigger points that a lot of people like to bring up is just the sheer amount of players you need for a BR. Like even we are kind of on the smaller side. Most BRs like will take 60 to 100 people, and we even take 42, and sometimes have trouble filling them all up. So,
Mhm.
like if you had a smaller objective game mode like 3v3 or 5v5, like that's inherently less people that you need to fill in, and it kind of lessens that effect of, oh, the player base is low because we can't fill a lobby. Instead, you're just looking for 6 or 10 people instead of
Yeah.
42. So
Yeah.
there's
I
that
think that,
aspect to
that
it too.
Yeah. The other thing to keep in mind with developing a new game mode, I'm not a game dev or anything. I don't really have a good idea of like how much it takes, but I know it does take a good amount of
Yeah.
time to develop a new game mode, right? So I think
Yeah.
the devs have basically suggested that they're looking into it and making plans and trying to get a new game mode out. They've more or less suggested that, and it's just going to take time. And it's hard, it's like difficult to sit with a BR and to sit with Clash for the time for right now, and not to know a timeline on the new game mode or any new content really that's coming. We have a vague understanding that like every 6 weeks there's going to be a new patch, but yeah, we don't really know when a new game mode is coming out, but we know there's one in the
Mhm.
works.
Yeah, I know that Andrew, Proletariat Andrew, likes to brag about how fun they are as they're testing it internally. And he says modes, like there's more than one. So there's some hope there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I know that on a past it must have been a month ago, on a past After Hours or community stream, Tacos actually was talking to Seth, like what would you change if you could snap your fingers and time wasn't a factor and like workload wasn't a factor, what would you give Spellbreak? And Seth himself, the CEO, was saying he'd like a Valorant style economy based 5v5. So we
Yeah,
might have that to look forward to
that'd be cool.
in the future. I don't know how that would work in Spellbreak. Me personally, like if you were to ask me specifically what I would like something completely new. Like you can do an arena mode or 5v5 or some kind of objective, but I'm a very, very big proponent of first to the trend, best dressed. And what that means is basically you're the first of your kind to do it, and you look damn good doing it. So that
Mhm.
it's kind of like how Joe Rogan took over the podcasting scene. He was the first one to really start doing it, and then it blew up because he did it well. And now everyone's trying to copy him. Hell, this show might as well be trying from a Spellbreak perspective. But yeah, I mean, it works. So I would
Mhm.
really hope that there's something unique coming down the pipeline instead of being a year late to the Valorant scene.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing too, right? Is with Spellbreak, the combat. I mean, the combat system itself is, I mean, pretty unique among
Yeah.
video games in general, and so yeah, trying to fit this very unique combat system into another game's structure and like another game's game mode, I don't think is really going to work. To be honest, I mean, you'll take inspiration, and I think doing an arena mode will have some sort of success. I think a lot of people
Hmm.
will like just doing an arena mode as it is. But yeah, for Spellbreak to really shine with the combat, with this unique combat system that they've created, you're gonna need something new. But that's hard to do, right? Creating a new game mode.
Yeah. I say that, and I almost kind of want to see them like do that new thing, but also release Arena on the side, just because a lot of people have been asking for it. Like even since the pre-alpha days, this has been a request for 2 years, and
Yeah.
like if there was any listening to the player base way back then about new game modes, like that's what I would think would be the first on their list. And I mean, we can talk about new game modes. I personally, Clash. I mean, I don't know your opinions on it. I personally hate it, but I know it's like I know it's an outlet for content for some of these players that go like 30-0 or whatever ridiculous kill count that they get nowadays. But like I know there's a lack of matchmaking there. And then there's this like looting
Yeah.
phase. I don't know. It's like a TDM/BR. I don't really get it, but we could talk about that all day if you want to.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think Clash is a cobbled together game mode that serves a good purpose. I think it's really good for new players to get in and just like fight,
Yeah.
and learn the game that way. I think for more experienced players, it isn't super useful. Just because you
Mhm.
will like, I mean, at least with the new changes they made, like if I go in there and I don't handicap myself in some way, then I'll
Yeah.
mercy pretty much every lobby that I'm in, unless like
Yeah.
randomly someone else is on the other team. But I'll mercy
Mhm.
a lot of lobbies that I'm in just by myself. What I have been doing in Clash though, which is actually really fun in Clash, and which I encourage like more senior players to do, is go in and give yourself a big handicap. So what I've been doing is going in with Tempest, and I've been taking no
Mhm.
offhand, and I've only been throwing noodles out. And if you go
That's
glass cannon
good.
Tempest, you can throw noodles for 18. So I just try to
Oh,
see how much
really?
damage I can do. Yeah, I think I got 1957 damage one game. Just tossing noodles out there. So that was really fun. And I didn't, I only got like 8 exiles or something like that. So I didn't
Mhm.
like
Only 8 with a
disrupt.
noodle.
Well, but like, when I'm gonna get 15 to 25, otherwise, because a lot of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Clash lobbies are just new players. I didn't like disrupt the lobby. I didn't make
Mhm.
anyone like quit the game, and it was really fun. I also do that with on Frostborn. I'll just go and I won't pick up an offhand, and I'll just try to snipe to practice my snipes, and so I think Clash is good for that. But yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
Clash is
Yeah.
Clash is
Well,
Clash.
yeah, Clash is Clash. I'm gonna do a really, really big and complicated segue here
Cool.
because it does take a lot of time and skill to get good at the game, and of course learn all the different mechanics, all the nuances. You playing every day probably helped you quite a bit with like grasping some of the more advanced concepts. So I want to bring you up to this poll because it seems a little divided. This is something we talked about a little bit before the stream, and here
Mhm.
you go, viewers, so you can see it. Sir Dapper put out a poll. Do you think fundamentally that Spellbreak is a competitive game or a casual game? Fundamentally, what do you think?
Fundamentally, fundamentally,
Fundamentally.
the
What a
the
word.
skill cap is so high that it has to be a competitive game, right?
I would think.
I think because fundamentally, I think there's a lot to do. I kind of think it's both. That's not a good answer, but it's kind of both
That's all
because
right.
you have such a high skill cap, right? Like so inevitably it will become a competitive game, and I think like every game that really like is that every PvP game is going to become competitive in some way. But there's also so much there's so many like creative ways to play the game, so many different ways to play the game that
Yeah.
it can be very casual. And I think that's, we're just in a place right now with Spellbreak where it doesn't have a devoted competitive mode. I think,
Hmm.
eventually what you would want to see is to have the BR be a casual mode where people can just kind of go in and play and hopefully not get stomped on too hard. But then have a competitive mode, whether it's, Valorant style or arena shooter, whatever it is,
Hmm.
where you actually have the competition. Because let's be honest here, BR is a trash mode for competitive. We deal with it right now. For
Hmm.
me, as much as I go into comp, and the comp players deal with BR as a competitive mode, but it's a trash mode for comp. It's so much based on RNG and
Hmm.
where people are dropping, what loot you get in the game. There's so many
Yeah.
variables in BR that, yeah, it BR is not a competitive mode. I'll say that. But Spellbreak as a game, uh, yeah, has so much potential to be competitive.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with you there. BR, like Element, for example, we're making the best out of a crap sandwich, to put it one way.
Yeah,
Like
Element does a great job of
yeah,
doing BR in competitive. Yeah.
yeah, it's like we're trying to like not me personally. I don't make the rules or anything. I just cast it. But like I think the amount of weight that you put on damage and exiles is
Mm-hmm.
so good the way that they do
Mm-hmm.
it. Like
Really
we
well
saw
done.
during Twitch Rivals, for example, that was more weighted on placement, not really so much damage or exiles. It was a little bit exiles, but more placement. you had people kind of camping towards like the final circle, and then you end up with like a 22 person final circle to try to like see who's going to win. And like there's so many different things that can happen in there. Sometimes they're out of people's control. But overall, I think it makes for a lot better viewer experience if you like have more fights happening throughout the actual event. And then once you get to the end, it's still a little bit crazy. So that's kind of my thought about it. But comment on like if it's inherently a competitive or casual game, I think inherently the way that they have built it, whether it's intentional or not, it is a very competitive mode. There's like a clear gap between level 10, level 23, and you now level 58. Like obviously there's a lot of things you can master to put yourself very, very high above someone who hasn't put in the time to really learn anything. But I will say that the devs are doing everything in their power to make it more casual, and you can see this with knowledge potions. The only problem with that is that the way the game currently is, competitive players can just pick that up too. So, like,
so that's kind of why I was waffling, because like the combat right is incredibly competitive, and there's the skill cap is so high in this game that like if you're just talking about the combat system and like the mechanics of Spellbreak, then it's obviously a competitive game. It has so much potential there. But if you're talking about a competitive game, you also have to talk about the game mode. And I mean, Element does a fantastic job and is really balanced competitive, where people don't really play different inside comp, like in scrims or in tournaments. People don't really play different. There's more attention to detail in comp, but they don't play fundamentally differently there than they do in like just a regular lobby, which is I mean that's not true for a lot of other game modes, and especially at Twitch Rivals. I mean, like everyone by whatever the 5th game realized that they needed to have flight to like fly up into the air to just last longer. But Element does a great job, but BR is just not a competitive mode. I also can't, talking about where I came from Fortnite has stuck very strong to the fact that it is a BR, and it will, it has its competitive mode is BR, and everyone hates it. Like everyone
literally
hates
everyone, huh?
that Fortnite is a BR, and people lose tournaments because of the stupidest RNG things. And Fortnite was famous for tossing in new mechanics. Like they tossed in like this mythic sword that you were like, regained health and did like 1 billion damage swinging it on the day of a major tournament. They just like tossed it into the game. So
I think I heard something about that. That was pretty nuts.
And people like won the tournament just because they like figured out how to use the sword faster than other people. It was just like, So you don't want a competitive game in BR. And I think the devs kind of like realize that and know that, and they want to use BR as a testing grounds for like stupid fun things like knowledge pots. I mean, if you if you had a separate competitive mode, knowledge pots would be like pretty fun for when they first launched. At least they'd be pretty fun. But once you're in a scrim and someone can just like throw 8 toxic clouds on your head, you're like, okay, no, I was the worst player. I lost because I was the worst player. What is this, man?
I kind of want to comment on like how different games sort of address this kind of conundrum here, because I think League of Legends kind of lends itself here with the competitive / casual. Like personally, I see it as having a bunch of casual elements. Like you could run a tank, for example, who doesn't really have a lot of outplay potential, but like there's point and click stuff that you can do where you can always have a presence in a fight. And you can always serve a purpose. Like I think of Maokai, for example. Like for those of you that don't know, he's a giant wooden thing. He's like a monster. If you press R, there's like this giant wave of vines that goes across, and it stuns anyone hit by it. So like even if you're like completely losing the game, you at least have your R. So there's like casual parts of it, but obviously has a huge pro scene, and there's even like specific patches that they'll put out that specifically affect the pro scene. And I feel like at this point, now that it's like 10 years old, a lot of players, like for myself, for example, I play it because it's difficult. I play it because I like the challenge, and I like to see how high I can get up in that challenge. So I kind of see something similar playing out with Spellbreak. Like I think in the future, If they get rid of this battle royale, or at least like make it not the focus, I don't think they'll ever truly get rid of it. It's one of their more polished modes. I think you could, for that matter, get rid of Clash because I hate Clash, but you could put in something that's like more catered towards the competitive crowd. And as soon as you get that like quick return to life, like you get exiled, you can respawn, you can like have another round or whatever. As soon as they really nail down that kind of mode, I really see this playing very well for it in terms of like being a competitive skill test in a way, kind of like how Aim Gods was for a little bit, kind of like how I don't know if Apex was like it. Apex is just a good game in general, but like you know those kind of games I'm talking about, where like the competitive appeal is a big part of why people like the game.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, Spellbreak will have that for sure. Yeah. And we're just
Yeah.
at a point, like, I mean, I kind of said I was already mentioned this, but like we're just at a point where Spellbreak just it hasn't developed that. And I think especially in the community, I don't think people realize how much of an infant this game is, even though it's been playable for 2 years. I mean, the game
Yeah.
really did just launch and they just started putting marketing into the game. They
Yeah. Not
just
even really.
yeah, like a little,
Like it's really
they've
small.
paid people for a week, right, to play on Twitch and they've paid a couple people for for videos on YouTube and they've done a little bit of marketing on like Instagram and stuff. But yeah, I mean, they like just started. And if you listen to the devs at all, that's seems to be their mindset is guys, we just started. We just started. We don't even have a competitive game mode yet. We only have the BR.
Yeah.
Don't worry about
Yeah.
it.
Like you were mentioning earlier, I mean, they are like completely. I remember Andy talking about this literally a few days ago. Like they haven't even gone back to the office yet. They've been remote this entire time. So
Yeah.
like, I can only imagine like, because right now it's a valid complaint that like there aren't a lot of balance changes mid patch. And I don't know how much of that is to blame for like different platforms that they deal with. I know some platforms like to delay more than others on client side stuff.
Mhm.
But I
Switch,
wonder
right?
how
Switch
much
is
of it.
always the
God,
big drawback. Nintendo takes a
one
long
one
time.
thing one thing I heard Tacos discussing was like how much he wishes that they didn't release anything for the Switch because it
Yeah.
just delays everything.
Mhm.
It's not even like I've had people like some of my friends play on the Switch version. It's like 30 FPS. You can't really tell what's going on. It's like the worst possible experience that you could have. Like obviously some people like it because I mean, Seth has a Switch. He really likes playing Spellbreak on a Switch. Like some people really like the gyro controls on it now.
Mhm.
But like I don't like how much it delays progress in the game. If that's something that's happening.
Yeah, hopefully it's not delaying it too much or too seriously. But yeah, I think the from what I've heard, I've a couple people in my chat too who primarily play on Switch, and it
Mm.
is definitely a little bit brutal of an experience to play on Switch. Between yeah, all the problems they used to have the black screen, and then the black
Yeah, I
screen turned
remember
into the
that.
white screen, and the white
Don't they
screen
still
isn't
have
super
that?
prominent anymore, but it's still there a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you can't play Pyromancer because once you do, you're done. No Pyromancers on Switch,
Unfortunate.
but but yeah, I think the way that they have it currently, I want to get into crossplay a little bit. I like the full crossplay that they have here. I think the brackets were a little bit of a mistake. Maybe they weren't at first, but like I personally think it was. I think if they just let everybody play with everybody, you could have sort of that, because that kind of fed into like, oh, the lobbies are dead because I'm not getting any players in here. Once you open the
Mm.
floodgates a little bit, then you have people from all stripes coming in. I think it should have been that way from day one.
Yeah, you just wonder. Yeah, going back, I'm not a game dev. I wonder
Yeah,
how possible that was for them. But
a good old hindsight.
yeah, and you wonder how much they didn't want sweaty level 58s in with new. I think it was the first time you could play on Xbox, right? So Xbox
Hmm.
all Xbox players were going to be new, and to have the PC players in with them might have not been the
Hmm.
best idea, but I don't know. Yeah. It's a tough one. I mean, it is
Hmm.
really tough. I mean, if when you start to think about what the options are for getting this game to have a player base, the options are really hard because you just do have really good people in the
Hmm.
community, and there's a lot of them who are just really good. And even in this game, when you start playing this game, you are so bad. Like everyone is so bad just because it
Literally.
is. Yeah, it's
it,
such a
it
different game
it
from
took me 2 weeks to win my first game in pre-alpha.
dude.
Two
Yeah,
entire weeks of losing. Like,
yes.
imagine that.
Oh my god. And even like now, every I look back and I think about like every month, I realize how much better I am than the previous month, and that's still
Hmm.
happening to me. And so like the first month, I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't know anything that was happening. Luckily, I think I chose Stone Shaper at a moment in time when Stone was like decently strong. So I did like
Hmm.
okay when I started,
Yeah.
but dude, I mean, yeah, this game is so the going like your first 10 levels, your first 10 mage ranks are just, yeah, very tough. Not only are you intaking a bunch of information about like class skills and the gauntlets and talents and runes and all the different stuff, all the information
Hmm.
in the game is just, yeah, I mean, it's really tough. The movement and
Yeah,
your
there's a
accuracy,
lot.
everything's projectile based, and overcoming all of that, and keeping a player base and getting a player base to stick through the first whatever month of playing. I don't know.
Hmm.
That's a tough challenge. So I try to
Yeah.
give the devs a break whenever I can. You got to be critical at some
Hmm.
point, but I try to give them a break, and that's,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a challenge that uh, is definitely very difficult.
Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and end on a bit of a softer topic here. I know a lot of people have been talking about like how much we really want communication from the devs. Like, if you ever go on Twitter, anybody watching, just follow at Curlincheek. That's at KURLANCHEEK. This is Jesse's personal Twitter account, and literally he puts out this thing called Spellbreak Dailies, where he just talks about his workload for like the day or whatever. Like it could make literal no sense to anybody looking at it, but like I have one pulled up right here that I'll share on screen now. Literally, SB Daily on a gray and drizzly day. Ingest some new Holobot data. So they're going to be working on Holobot. Analytics office hours, whatever that means. Combat sync could possibly just mean like tightening up the combat system. Just how it feels. And chapter English onboarding, like they're working on a new chapter, and miscellaneous meetings. Like this, at least it's nothing to anybody who isn't willing to really dig into it, but like it's something, you know?
Once you
And I
start reading a couple, you understand them a little bit more too.
Yeah, you start putting pieces together. It kind of like gives you something to chew on a little bit. I feel like as a studio, like as a company, Proletariat could do that in a wider sense, maybe like once or twice a week. Like even if it's just something small, like that's something that I would like from them. But what are your thoughts on this entire situation?
Yeah, communication. I think this is another thing where I think it's just really tough because the time we're in, and from what I've heard in like streams that when I've been watching them, and it seems like they find it very hard to have open communication between departments right now too. And
Mm.
I remember there was some there was some debacle that they had. Maybe this was in prologue where like something, a cosmetic from the prologue ended up in the store and people could like buy it in the store, but it was in the
Yeah,
prologue. And
the elemental outfits, which we still haven't seen an upgrade option on yet. That's something that they were talking about.
oh, true. No, but well, yeah, that's one thing. But there was something like actually there was like something that you got from leveling up the prologue that would like ended up in the store, which it was supposed to be like a free cosmetic. I think it was like a
Oh,
cloudburst.
it yeah, it was yeah, I think it was a cloudburst. Now I remember what you're talking about now. I
Yeah,
remember.
but
I think I made a video on it actually.
oh really? Yeah. But
Yeah.
so I mean, they basically just came out after that and they were like, yeah, we just messed up. That was like completely our fault. Like we just didn't have communication in between. And it's because like if you're not, I mean, you're
Hmm.
not in an office to talk to people. So I think that like that's a real struggle for them inside the company too. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just tough. I don't know if you're having updates every 6 weeks, then I don't know what there probably just isn't a lot to report on. Not a lot that you like can really give away. If it's like a couple weeks out, then you're still developing stuff.
Hmm.
I mean, you know, if they become a little bit bigger of a studio and then they can do updates a little bit more often and then they can, speak about the updates
Yeah.
that they're doing a little bit more often. It's not ideal, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I've said a bunch of times, it's a small company and a game that's still growing.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I'm willing to crowdfund $5 a month if anyone wants to join me for them to hire a dev
True.
diary person. Like
True.
just give them whatever we crowdfund, something for us to chew on for like every 2 weeks or something. I will crowdfund that. If anyone's listening for Proletariat, I'm serious. I have money in my pockets. I will give you $5 a month to do that. Set up a
Yeah.
Patreon. I'm there. Yeah, but that's about gonna conclude our episode here. It's already like 6:53. We've been on for quite a bit. Yeah, I told you it would go fast, and it does.
Did.
Yeah, it does go fast. So to end off, we'll go ahead and let Bastion let everyone know where to find you. Those of you who aren't on his stream right now, we do have some links down below, but I'll let Bastion take you away here.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Well, hey, OSK, thanks for having me. This was cool, dude. A nice little
Yeah, of
talk.
course.
Yeah, I could talk for literally ever about Spellbreak.
Yeah,
So
for
happy
real.
to come on. You can find me. All my handles are BastionLMAO. It's nice taking an obscure name like that because it's free on like every platform. You can find me on
Yeah.
Twitch and on YouTube. That's where I post the most, and it's like the meat of my content that I put out is on Twitch and YouTube. I also have a Twitter and an Instagram where I'll post random thoughts on Twitter and clips usually on Instagram. You can find me on any of those platforms, BastionLMAO.
Yeah, and I think you're going to be revamping the YouTube side of things. I think you were talking about, aren't you?
Oh baby, yeah. Well, there's a lot of effort into the YouTube. Definitely going in. I'm posting way more often and doing, and yeah, I got a bunch of video ideas, both on gameplay side, guide side, and also lore side. I'm going to be getting
Yeah.
into lore a little bit because I know a lot of the lore. I have another side project that's super secret right now that involves the lore.
Ooh. All
So
right.
yeah, bunch of stuff going out there.
Yeah, guys, definitely go check him out on all the platforms. You can just hit the description of the stream and find everything there. But yeah, the lore side of Spellbreak, I don't think anyone's really covered all that much. So that's definitely wide open for you, buddy. Go ahead and take care of it. Take care of it now. But guys, I've been your host. I've been your host, OSK. You can find me just below in the description. I have a YouTube channel called OSK Gaming you can check out. But just find everything in the description down there. Bastion, it's been a wonderful time chatting with you, buddy. And hopefully we'll have you back on at some point in the future. That's going to do it for this stream of SpellCast. We'll be back next week on, I believe, Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Follow the Twitter. Make sure you don't miss any updates. We'll have the VOD coming out here pretty soon. And Bastion, any parting words, my friend?
Oh man, thanks for having me on, and I'll look forward to coming on again and seeing the episodes to come.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Well, guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a good night.